Hey everybody, welcome back to Drawing for Comics. I hope you've all been practicing those basic eye drawings we worked on last week. This week we're going to be getting into the mouth and doing some basic mouth designs. So let's get started as I grab my gray brush. And the first thing we're going to do is just draw a basic line, just like that, right across, and then a little kind of curved line shape under here to the bottom lip, and a couple of little dimple-like areas here, and that's it. That's a basic mouth. The mouth is a pretty simple thing to draw usually because all you really see of the mouth is that shadow line between the upper and lower lip. But sometimes, depending on the design of the upper lip, you do get a little bit of a cast shadow, especially if the light is coming from overhead. So let's put in the mouth line here, and then let's go up here and just put in an upper lip. Now, this is primarily a male lip that we're drawing here, so I'm kind of exaggerating this upper lip a little bit. Not to say you can't design a character that has, lips like this, but for most guys you're going to downplay the upper lip a little bit. But I just want to kind of fill this in just to explain the theory behind this here. So the light's coming in from up here. Okay, so you can see we have the cast shadow formed by the upper lip, and you have the little indentation under, or the shadow under your nose here, and the indentation there. And then once again we'll put in a little shadow line for the lower lip. And that just gives us a little bit more three-dimensionality to it. It just adds a little bit more detail. It makes it a little bit more realistic. And you can see I added the dimple lines here. I added a cleft to the chin. You can add kind of these little details just to kind of bring your character to life, give them a little bit more character, a little more realism, that kind of thing. But let's say that the angle of the light is coming in a little bit differently from about this way. So the light isn't coming straight down. So when I put in the lower lip here, you see I'm making it thicker here on one side to show that the cast shadow is coming off at an angle based on where the light's coming from. Same with that little dimple under your nose. Maybe only put one dimple on the side of the mouth, that kind of thing. And then just, again, it's something a little different, gives us a little bit different lighting position, a little bit different character to the piece, things like that. Okay, so let's move on to a very basic open mouth. Just slightly open. I'm going to draw a little arc here for the upper lip, coming in with a corresponding arc for the lower lip. But just roughing that in there, putting in a line across the middle here for the teeth, and then I'm just going to shade in underneath. So we can see the top teeth, can't really see the bottom teeth. The mouth isn't quite open wide enough for that, can't really see in, it's too dark. Put in the little dimple lines and such, and the lip underneath, and that is pretty much the basics of an open mouth. So let's try something a little bit different. So let's try a mouth with a little bit different shape here. So I'm going to change up the arc of the upper lip just a little bit, come down here and draw in the bottom, and notice it's still a thinly open mouth, but I added a little extra to the edges there, kind of give it a little bit of a smile to it. And a little detail for the teeth here just to kind of show that they're in there. Come down here and shadow the bottom lip just like that, and of course our little dimples with a nice curve to them to kind of really emphasize this is a smile, which is a common trick in cartooning. Put in a little bit of an upper lip just to play with that shading and give the mouth a little bit more three-dimensionality, and that's pretty much the basics of that. Okay, so let's work on a mouth that's open a little bit larger. So we're going to increase the arc on the upper lip and the lower lip, just kind of exaggerate there, rough those in. We're going to come up here and we're going to just kind of put the lines in for the teeth again, just to let the viewer know that they are in fact there in that mouth. Rough out where we want the bottom lip to be. Come in here, do a little bit of shading underneath the upper lip. Again, give the mouth that three-dimensionality to it. Come down here and kind of play with the lower lip, where that's going to be. Put in our little dimple marks, and just make the little tweaks and adjustments to get it just kind of the way we want it. And put in a little bit more weight at the top, get a little bit more of that shadow in. Really make this look like a nice full mouth that's open and giving a nice big kind of smile here. Not quite the big, huge, toothy smile, but a decent-sized smile. Okay, so I want to finish this off, so let's ink, but for the sake of time, let's go into time-lapse and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, now that we've done a few male mouths, let's come over here and start with the ladies. So I put in the basic mouth line, and I'm going to come in here now and I'm going to rough in that upper lip. And unlike the men where I was kind of exaggerating how thick the upper lip should be, on the women you really do want to give them a nice full upper lip. And the reason for that is the lips on women tend to be a bit more plump than those on men. And again, we can exaggerate this, we can play this down depending if we want the woman to really be sexy, or give her more of a plain look, or maybe if we want a woman to be younger or older, you know, whatever look we're going for, whatever mood we're trying to set. That's going to determine the shape and size of our lips. So I'm just going to finish up roughing this out, getting the shape, getting the symmetry that we want, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in the lower lip. Now you're going to notice with this that I'm not just putting in a little line that says, hey, here's the bottom lip and you can only just see the shadow like we do on the men. I'm actually going to draw the lower lip on the woman. And again, depending on the sexiness or the plainness or the age, these kinds of things, that'll determine exactly how big this lower lip is, how far it sticks out, how thin it is, how I shade it and not shade it, and that kind of thing. So let me grab the black. Let's go in and kind of tighten this up a bit, really refine the shapes, and get a more finalized look to this piece. So we're going to come in here and see, I can kind of alter the line here to make sure I have lips that look kind of the way I want. Fill this in with the black. Make sure this is all filled in. Now, you can do a couple things here. You can fill it in black like I'm doing, and sometimes you want to leave highlights, actually. And that really all depends on how glossy the lips are, how much lipstick they're wearing, what kind of lipstick, that kind of thing, which we'll get into again here in a minute. But let's kind of finalize the shape of the lower lip. I didn't really like that line, so let's try again. It's a little bit better. And come over here to the other side. And we're not quite even with that first side. Here we go. It's a little bit better. And then we're going to shape this because we really want the lip to be round and not look flat. So that's going to determine how we do the shading here on the edges. So let me put in this little depression here just to kind of give the upper lip a little bit more character. Let's try that again, just like that. That's pretty good. Now, as I said here, we're going to come in and on the corners and really round them off to really make sure the lip has that round look, because it's not square. There aren't any sharp points in nature, and on a woman in general, you really don't want angles. You always want curves. So we're really just going to come in here and soften the look, add a few highlights like I mentioned before with the glossiness of the lipstick, that kind of thing, and let's try a couple variations on that. Okay, so let's come in here and do another mouth, and maybe this one will be a little bit open, so we're going to give that kind of arc to it like we did earlier. And I'm going to arc the lower lip here as well, and we're just roughing it in. You know, don't worry about making it look perfect at this stage. Just kind of rough in, get an idea of the shape you want. Now, as the mouth opens, the lips do actually change shape. They get thinner, they get more stretched out, that kind of thing. So remember to keep that in mind as you're drawing a mouth that's open slightly. So let's come in here and put in this upper lip, which also is a little bit thinned out. And we'll kind of put in some details, shade this in. There we go. And come over here and put a little bit of a suggestion of the reflection in like we did before, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's tighten this up a bit. Let's switch our layers back to our inking layer, grab the black like we had before, and come in here and define these shapes and go a little bit more slowly. Now I am going to worry a little bit more about the symmetry, the shape, the size, and really just making sure that everything is how I want. Now, I'm not using any reference for this, so like I mentioned on the eyes, really it's whatever we want. You know, we can create this character from scratch out of our own imagination. So as long as it looks plausible and it reads as lips and doesn't look too funky, we can kind of do whatever we want with it. It's really up to us. So as you go through and draw and ink this up, you have the ability to alter your pencil lines and really just create whatever it is that you want to create at that particular time. It doesn't have to be beholden to any really design. It's all from your imagination. All right, so let's hide our pencils. Let's go in here, kind of tighten this up, finish it up here. I'm going to grab the white brush, come in here and fix this tip to our right, because I really just don't like the way it looks. Go back in the black, see if I can line this up a little better with the other side, make it look a little bit more even. And then what we're going to do is go in and play with some of the highlights and shading and the glossiness of the bottom lip. And there are really a million ways we can do this. The best thing to do really from here is just keep practicing these lips, fill up your page with them, and on the ladies just practice with a zillion ways to do these highlights, and it's all up to you. As long as they read his lips, anything goes. So keep practicing these, keep practicing those basic eyes. I hope you're having fun with these tutorials so far. Next week we're going to go on to the nose and really kind of finish out the face. Okay, so have fun, keep practicing, and I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.